Well, we've got a Menendez brothers update. We've got Blake Lively throwing some shade at Justin Baldoni's Mistresses. And I've got the one and only Kempire here to join us and break down some of the latest Diddy drama. Let's go. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Welcome on in, everybody in the club. But what's up, guys? I have Kempire on the show today, so stay tuned for that. I got to tape with him while I was in New York. Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now we're in New York. Sorry. Forgive me for my voice. I'll try to catch a tune later. But we have a lot that we are going to dive into today. We have a whole episode with Kempire that we will get to in just a sec that I got to film in New York. But I want to talk about this update from the Menendez brothers and this Blake Lively update in the Baldoni drama, because there has been I guess they had some sort of meeting and they have come to somewhat of an agreement regarding these subpoenas because Blake Lively wants all the phone records, and I don't know. It's a lot, but we'll get into it in just a sec. But let's start with the Menendez brothers. Oh, actually, no. I wanted to give a shout out to Kirsty Fa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And to Billy Bush, because they both gave me some love and shout outs on their shows this week. So thank you, Kirsty. Thank you, Billy. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for following the content. Hopefully we can get a collab with the two of them. Maybe I'll invite them on the podcast next week. That'd be kind of fun. Let me know. Drop a comment below and let me know. Say, hey, Zack, I want you to collaborate with ... And then let's get some collabs going, because I think that'll be fun. Also, shout out, because I told you guys I would do shout outs this week. Shout out to Crandall Carey, who said excellent, no nonsense coverage. Very informative, and gave me 5 stars on Apple. And then we also have DRod715, who said Pulitzer Prize. Thank you, Zack, for always reporting the facts and keeping it real. You have fast become one of my favorite podcasters and social media person. I look forward to listening while I'm at work or home. I know you have more accomplishments in your future. Thank you for bringing us along for the ride. Thank you, D-Rod. Thank you. And then we have LL Cool Jane. LL Love Cool Jane said, what you said, I couldn't agree more. I was always Team Justin, and at least I withheld judgment because I have seen Blake, and she is problematic when she's just being herself. So defensive and offensive, all in the same interaction. She's troubled, but defensiveness, and you are right 100%. This is narcissism. I'm a clinical psychologist, so I can say that, and like all clinical narcissists, sooner or later, their behavior gets them in trouble. I hope I'm not a clinical narcissist. But thank you guys for the reviews on Apple Podcasts. Please keep them coming. And I believe as of we're just under 70,000 subscribers here on YouTube. You guys, are we about to break 70K this week? Can we make it happen by the end of day? By EOD today? 70K on YouTube. That's amazing. Thank you. Please continue to like the videos, drop your comments, and keep weighing in and subscribe. Hit that notification button. That way, when there's a new episode and it drops, you're the first one to find out. Okay, let's dive in. Let's do a Menendez Brothers update. Okay, so will they or won't they? Dun, dun, dun. So the evidence that was being considered, right? DA Nathan Hochman, he's speaking out, and there was this old letter that was written to their cousin about the alleged SA, which is the assault from their father. And they claimed that this is what led to the murders of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, right? They whacked them because Jose was not being kosher. I'm trying to say this as YouTube friendly as possible. But so they wrote a letter to their cousin to verify that these claims are real, right? Well, LADA, Nathan Hochman is speaking out, and he's denying that this letter is enough for a retrial. There will not be a new trial. Okay, it does not appear that they'll be getting a new trial, but that's not entirely bad news because they do still have an opportunity to be resentenced. And so they have a resentencing hearing that's coming up in March, which is at this point just in this weekend. It'll be March. But so next month, they will come before a judge and plead their case, and a judge will determine whether or not he thinks that they should be resentenced, right? So should they get a new sentence, which would likely just give them the opportunity for parole, it would then go to a parole board, but ultimately the decision would need to be signed off by Governor Gavin Newsom, according to the DA. So Newsom, he even says that if Newsom wanted to, Newsom could totally, just sign off on it now and release them, right? But for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like this is really on Newsom's desk at the moment, or he doesn't really seem to be making this a priority for him. Understandably, he's worried about other things. So that makes sense. So it's not a groundbreaking update. It's just saying that the letter that is now trying to be introduced as new evidence, this, I believe, had already become public back in 2015, this letter to the cousin. So it doesn't really help them in terms of getting another trial, right? But the resentencing hearing is coming up in March, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with them. Obviously, they gained a lot of popularity with the Netflix series that came out and the new Netflix documentary. Monsters was the series, which had a lot of different the series was actually really good. I really did like Monsters, right, on Netflix. I thought that it was good. It really got me engaged and hooked on this case. So currently, both Erik and Lyle Menendez are in prison for life without parole, meaning they're not getting out and they don't have an opportunity to get out because there's no parole on the table, right? So they have no chance of getting out of prison. However, if they are resentenced, it's likely, or at least the prediction is, they will still be sentenced to life, but they'll be sentenced to life with parole. Now, it is possible that instead of the murder charge, it could be, reduced to manslaughter. I don't think that's going to happen. Because if that were the case, then I believe they've already served their time and they would be able to get out sooner rather than later. Whereas I think what's going to happen is the no parole option will be removed. They're going to factor in their behavior in prison and some of the accomplishments that they've made in recent years. All of that good behavior and whatnot will be factored into whether or not there was some sort of rehabilitation while they were in prison. And if there was, then again, it can come before a parole board. They could get approved. And if they get approved, we would then see them likely having the opportunity to be free. Now, without a new trial, this is a process that will likely be delayed for some time. There was some speculation that they may get the charges reduced, or at least Erik would get his charge reduced because Lyle is the one that made the kill shots, right? He's the one that took the shot at the dad and took the shot at the mom that ultimately, unalived them. And so therefore, it's likely that Erik could possibly, get a reduced sentence, likely the manslaughter versus the murder charge. A lot of ways that this could go, but it's most likely just going to keep the life in prison that way, with the opportunity to now give them a chance for parole. Whereas at the beginning, they didn't really want to do that. So there will likely be no new trial, and that's not happening. We'll have to see what happens come March, though. So it's not over for them just yet, but we'll see. Okay, let's get into Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And Baldoni's 5 mistresses. What? 5 mistresses and 5 psychiatrists? Say what? Okay, so Blake Lively is amending her subpoena. She's doing a lot of amendments these days, right? She's like, fine, let me change it if I must. So she is amending her subpoena request of the Wayfarers party's phone records, right? Because she was like, I want to go back 2.5 years and we need to go. And it seemed like there was this big fishing expedition that she was trying to do. She didn't have any strong evidence, especially when it comes to proving the alleged smear campaign and the involvement of Jed Wallace. So Baldoni's team argued that the subpoena was overbroad, right? It was far-reaching, far beyond the scope of what the fishing expedition, as did I. And so now Blake Lively's team has responded, and they're modifying their scope with a little bit of shade. So they're saying, okay, fine. Maybe our net was a little too wide, whatever. They apparently had a meeting with the attorneys. All parties were together. I don't believe like Blake and Baldoni were there, but at least the attorneys were present and they were trying to negotiate and trying to bring this down because Baldoni's team is like, listen, you're asking for way too much. This is, which is standard. Like, let's be clear. This is actually standard in a case like this. You're going to fight for as much as you can, just like in a salary negotiation, right? Or when you're negotiating a contract in Hollywood, you throw out the biggest possible number, the other party throws out the lowest possible number, and then you kind of negotiate and somehow you find your way in the middle. So it's just funny because on the first page of this letter to the judge, where Lively's team is like, okay, we're going to amend it. We hear them. It's a little wide of a net, so we'll narrow the scope a little bit. We don't need the locational data. I mean, they really wanted a lot of information, and it's uncertain why. Again, presumably it was some sort of fishing expedition. But so in the letter, Blake Lively's legal team makes it clear that they just want to they just want the call logs, right? They don't need the contents of the messages. They just want the logs. So letting everybody know, including the judge, that they do not intend to call out Justin Baldoni's 5 mistresses and 5 psychiatrists. Presumably, Baldoni's team was being sarcastic in this, right? As I said, they were hoping that they would find some sort of tea. Blake Lively's team was hoping to find some sort of tea in these records that they could use to incriminate Baldoni, presumably, right? That's my own speculation, whether it was either in this case or just something in general that, I don't know, coincidentally may accidentally leak into the press, and this may make Baldoni look bad, because we've kind of seen Lively's team take these little jabs in their legal filings, and they kind of seem to be a little shady, or they want to allude to things and kind of make him look bad. So my conjecture was that I thought that they were probably going to want to comb through all of his records and all of his messages, or at least try to find something incriminating, right? And hypothetically, because they wanted to make Baldoni look bad, we've seen a lot of these little press leaks in recent weeks, so it's not beyond the scope of possibility that they may want to leak this. They may want to leak something negative to the press and maybe not have their fingerprints on it. Leslie Sloan. So hypothetically, a mistress or a note to a potential possible psychiatrist of Mr. Baldoni's, there could be something that would make him look bad, right? So this is all within a hypothetical. So Blake Lively took that, got a little shady with the hypotheticals, and decided to add this into the footnote in their response to Baldoni's team in their letter to Judge Lehman. And the footnote reads, this is the exact footnote, that their intention is to crystallize their position as to the subpoenas, putative overbreadth. Counsel for the Wayfarer parties indicated that the subpoenas, as issued, would problematically reveal whether Mr. Baldoni communicated with 5 mistresses, or whether he had communications with 5 psychiatrists, while a non-content subpoena would not reveal the identity of either mistresses or psychiatrists. It would reveal vitally important information about the phone numbers defendants contacted and when they did so, each of which is highly relevant to Miss Lively's retaliation and defamation claims, as well as being entirely permissible in the course of ordinary discovery. So, again, it's hypothetical. In this footnote, they put quotations around mistresses and they put quotations around psychiatrists as like, we don't know if these exist, but it's within the possibility. But don't worry, we're not interested in finding one of Baldoni's 5 mistresses. Shady, right? I wouldn't be surprised. I'll predict it now. Wouldn't be surprised if this ends up as a story in the press. Blake Lively calls out Justin Baldoni's 5 mistresses. Wouldn't be surprised. They're getting shady. They know that the internet sleuths are reading all of these documents. They know that the press is waiting for their latest email with the latest update for them to run the headline, presumably to drag Baldoni yet again as they've been doing. It's kind of funny. It's laughable at this point. The shade, right? The shade. Obviously Baldoni does not have 5 mistresses or 5 psychiatrists, right? Or a partridge in a pear tree. He ain't got any of that. Maybe the partridge, I don't know. But come on. You think we just fell out of a coconut tree? Blake Lively, we know what you're doing. We know you're trying to be shady. We know you're trying to twist the narrative to make Baldoni look bad and to make it seem like he may have 5 mistresses. We don't know if he has 5 mistresses, but don't worry. We're not interested in digging up the text messages with your 5 mistresses. Blake, we're a little too savvy and smart, and we know what you're doing. Sorry, lady. Not today. Not today. So that's the update that I got for you guys on the Menendez brothers and on Blake Lively. But I do have a fun episode that I taped in New York with Kempire at Spotify Studios. Thank you and shout out to Spotify. I appreciate you for letting me come in and use your studios. I have an interview with Steven Peters tomorrow and an interview with Jackie Goldschneider on Thursday. So like today's episode, I'll lead with whatever the hot headlines are of the morning. If there's anything super juicy, tomorrow maybe we'll talk about Anna Kendrick confirming that she is feuding with Blake Lively, even though the reports have come out and they're like, no, they're amazing, they're besties. Oh, LOL. I'm pretty sure Anna Kendrick, which I'll cover in tomorrow's show, has just confirmed that the feud is real. And that she is taking a not-so-subtle dig at Blake Lively and kind of saying she's Team Baldoni? Say what? All right. We'll get into that tomorrow. But right now, enjoy my interview with Kempire. Be sure to like. Be sure to subscribe, right? If you're listening to this or watching this on Spotify, drop a comment below. Let me know who you want to see me collab with next. If you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a nice Apple Podcast review. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this live stream on this lovely Tuesday morning, then by all means, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 70K by the end of the day. Like Onijah Robinson said. 70K. Oh, by the way, we do have an Onijah Robinson update. She is in Dubai still, but it appears that there's an issue with her visa. Obviously, we saw that she was detained on the plane, on the flight back to New York. It appears, or it was reported that she was on a flight from Dubai to JFK, even though she took a little detour in Dubai for a minute, and she was detained and removed from that plane, and people thought that she may have been arrested. And then she went MIA for a while, but I believe her son has come out, and it was confirmed by the Shade Room that Onijah is not in jail. She's not in prison. She was not arrested. They found an issue with her visa, and they're trying to help her work through that issue with the visa. That way they can get her home safely. So for everyone that's like, ooh, Dubai don't play, I guess Dubai be playing a little bit. Well, they're not playing, but they're taking it seriously and they're trying to help her get home. So, all right, that's what I got for you guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Remember, we're gonna hit that 100K on YouTube. Let's get it, and then I'll have the little placard back here. I'll put it right here. The placard. It's gonna go. We're gonna manifest it now. 100K placard right here on the wall. All right, let's get to the Kempire interview. Okay, today I have a very special guest. We are in studio. We're actually in New York right now, and I'm really excited because he was supposed to tape with me when he was in LA, but he had the craziest trip running all over LA. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I have to come to New York and book a crazy trip for myself and squeeze him in. Exactly. But you know him on YouTube. You love him on YouTube. Kempire, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Cue the Taylor Swift music.
It's welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York.
Hey, that's probably my least favorite Taylor Swift song.
It's just so, like, everybody that comes to New York plays that song. When they land on the plane or they're at the airport, like, it's the song that everybody plays, and I'm like, please stop. It's just, at this point, it's so big.
She's not even a New Yorker.
No. That song, and then, what is it, the Sia song? Is it Unstoppable?
Oh.
Or Elastic Heart, when people are like, when they're going through something and then they post the Sia song, it's like, I'm a survivor. It's just basic.
Yeah, that's when we know you're not from New York.
How are you? I feel like it's been, I mean, we talk like every day though.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen you since
I haven't
you were
seen
in
since
LA.
LA.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel that long ago, but it really was. That was November.
Oh, that feels like it was like weeks ago.
I know. And first of all, I do have to apologize because we were supposed to tape while I was in LA, but I did not venture into how much time it would take to get from one place to the next.
Well, because traffic and everything. Well, just like New York. Like I was telling you, I was like trying to squeeze in extra things to book, and then I've been like 5 to 10 minutes late to everything because the commute time driving everywhere in New York is insane.
That's why we take the train. And I'm not
taking the subway. I don't do well, not because like in LA. You don't fuck with the train because it's like sketch. Yeah. But in New York, I'm just like, it's so overwhelming. I would be afraid I would get lost. Everyone's like, it's so easy. But I've been to New York a million times and I've never once taken the subway. One time.
Oh my
Well, you took the
gosh.
subway here.
Yeah, it's the only way. If I had taken a taxi, I probably would have been late.
That's why I'm late, because I keep taking cars.
Yeah, but I also understand it is overwhelming, and there's been a lot of sketchy things happening on the train. So it's probably best you take an Uber or a taxi.
Somebody was they're like, you need to do the train. I'm like, okay, but if I do, I need it to take it with somebody that's like from New York that knows what they're doing. Like, I don't want to be one of those like, touristy people that doesn't know what they're doing.
And you're looking up and you're like, where am I? Where am I going?
Yeah. So how are you enjoying Housewives land? I feel like Housewives, I was having this argument with somebody last night about Housewives, and I was like, I feel like people just aren't as interested. Like, I think that's why, like, I'm so deep and knee deep in Blake and Baldoni stuff right now.
Yes. I mean, that's probably a much needed break from Housewives, because I felt like we were inundated for like 5 different series on at the same time.
It was too much.
And I don't think they realized that it would feel that way for a lot of people, especially if you're recapping it or talking about it or reporting on it. It was a lot. So I'm burnt out when it comes to Housewives. I still talk about it, but I much rather talk about the Diddler. I much rather talk about the Justin Baldoni stuff and just listen to his sexy voice. I much rather do that than talk about, what's going on in Atlanta or Potomac right now.
Didn't that voice note of Baldoni's just like make you so wet? Like, it was actually, even though it was like how long? It was like 9 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It was long.
But I wasn't prepared, because literally I had listened to it, but it was different listening to it live with people watching.
Yeah.
'Cause I was like, wait a second, guys. Why does he sound so sexy? I was distracted for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's accusations, but look, we have to be honest, right?
Listen, I'll say it right now. If that's what we're getting, then like he can harass me. I will invite him to come in. No, I'm not. Not anybody else. I'm giving full consent for him to harass me, please. Just like Armie Hammer, like everyone's like, oh my God, he's so great. I'm like, he can nibble on a rib. It's fine. For me, on me, I want to clarify. Let the record reflect. I would let him nibble on my ribs.
I don't think I would. No.
Amongst other things.
Oh, we're sure. We're pretty sure this is turning into something else.
But so with Diddy, because you've been following that.
Oh my gosh.
Jay-Z just got dismissed from the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Did he pay somebody off?
That is the consensus, but I just feel as if, and that's not above what Hollywood would do.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what happened here, because if he could have paid someone off, he would have done it when they were initiating it.
Yeah.
It felt like there were a lot of inconsistencies. The alleged victim said herself that there were inconsistencies. There were a lot of things that were happening.
Yeah.
I think Jay-Z's case, his involvement in that case, it just wasn't a solid case for Tony Busby.
I agree with that. I think they attached Jay-Z. I mean, not that I think that Jay-Z is kosher. I don't think Jay-Z is clean. I mean, we've heard the rumors about him and Diddy and all, like, when you hear something about somebody like Harvey Weinstein, we heard forever.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein, we've heard forever. Not to compare them or say that the allegations are the same. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty. It's all conjecture.
I love how you say that and roll your eyes.
Well, because you say things, it's okay. It's a podcast. They're not watching. They didn't see me roll my eyes.
Oh, sorry. I'm so used to YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this will air on YouTube and Spotify, and it is video. And we're taping from Spotify in New York. Shout out Spotify. But yeah, when you do look at that case specifically, it was very vague. And I mean, I get the Diddy attachment, but like there were 2 other unnamed celebrities, and then Jay-Z was the name that came forth, and I'm like, are they just doing this for the press piece? Because most people don't realize when there is a celebrity enthralled in a legal scandal and there's a lawsuit, a lot of the times the celebrities are named because they want the press attention on it.
Exactly. And Tony Busby has a history beyond Diddy of doing that.
Yeah.
So that's why they referred to him as the 1-800 lawyer. He set up a whole 800 line for victims to call. He's representing 120-something Diddy victims. And I'm sure in those victims, there are some real victims.
Yes.
But I also think there are some people that are
yeah.
trying to clout chase off of this.
I mean, well, it was like what I was saying, and I got shit for saying it with the Girardi stuff. Like, there were once one victim comes out, everybody suddenly was bamboozled by Tom Girardi, and Erica punched him in a backseat at some point. That's fake. But I'm just saying, like, the allegations
Making up stuff. I was like, really?
No, but like the allegations just like they pile on, and it becomes like more drama than it needs to be, and it's all sensationalized, and it's like overly dramatic.
Yeah. And I think that happens, and that's where it makes it terrible for real victims.
Yeah.
Because then people don't believe them. And then because people don't believe them and people on social media are dragging, the ones that have come forward, they don't want to come forward.
Yeah.
So I think this is a win for Jay-Z.
Yeah.
However, it's not a win for the other victims that are suing Diddy, that are real victims and that have legitimate stories.
What do you think's going to happen with Diddy? Do you think they're going to Epstein him?
Everyone keeps wondering if that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
There's too much attention on it now.
Yeah,
too many people are skeptical and have eyes on him.
Yeah, but I feel like we're in the twilight zone. So part of me is thinking, well, did he actually get out of jail?
Oh, because last I heard, he had gone to the hospital to get
something. He had some sort of injury.
Scan on his knee.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, he didn't escape that we know of.
Yeah. Because we haven't heard anything about him since then. Like, that was the last update. And it was also such a vague... They're just like, he was getting his knee checked. I'm like, well, what happened to his knee? Is it too many blowjobs in prison? Like, what? Well, I don't know. Like, why else are his knees hurting? One knee hurting that bad?
I really thought to myself, I was like, wait, they let him out for something and he didn't escape? Because he's tried multiple times to get bail, and they've said no. They believe he's a flight risk.
And the highest bid was $50 million that he was willing.
Yeah,
that's insane.
He gave up his Miami home. He gave up his mother's Miami home. He gave up his daughter's, not his son's, passports. So he tried everything, but they said no. But if Eric Adams, our mayor here in New York City, was able to not even see a day in jail, now I'm starting to look at this Diddy stuff and think to myself, will he actually get out of jail?
I mean, we saw Bill Cosby got out. We saw, a number of cases that we thought were solid cases where they were supposed to be locked away for the rest of time, and they ended up
A$AP Rocky.
And it's usually a loophole in the legal. It's not because they're innocent, but there's some sort of loophole. I mean, or even Jussie Smollett. He was one of the recent ones too that got off.
Oh my God, not Jussie.
Did you believe him?
Did I believe Jussie Smollett?
Yeah.
Jussie Smollett.
# believe all victims.
No. He wasn't a victim, though. There was a lot of proof against him. Yeah. And that, again, you're right. It was a technicality that's the reason why he was cleared. And good for him that he fought and continued that fight, because now he doesn't have to see another day in jail. I think everyone on the prosecution side dropped the ball on how they originally handled it. Yeah. But I believe 100% Jussie Smollett did exactly that, pretended.
Yeah. And that's, and the same thing with like Bill Cosby. I have no doubt that he did the things that he was accused of doing, and it was a technicality that he got out on. That's why I'm always like, when it comes to these celebrity legal cases, everyone's like, just throw him in jail, lock him. Like, they want to jump to the verdict, and I'm like, it needs to be done the right way because there are a number of legal loopholes. OJ, another one that got off.
May he rest in peace.
Khloe Kardashian's dad. But yeah, Diddy, I don't, like, you can't even predict these things anymore. No. It does seem like a slam dunk. It seems like there's enough that I'm sure, as big or small that they have on him, they will make sure that they nail him to the cross. But
the only thing that makes people believe that it will be a slam dunk is because the Southern District of New York has like a 98% conviction rate. But we shall see how this plays out.
They got Jen Shah.
They got Jen Shah in that final hour.
And she was innocent. I'm innocent. I'm fighting for all the people that can't afford attorneys.
Yeah. Delusional.
She was giving interviews.
But she's about to get out. I mean,
her time keeps getting moved. You know what's funny with the Jen Shah case, though, is there was this prison consultant that I had on my podcast. Yes, it's a thing. I had him on my podcast, and I told him, give me the escape plan for Jen Shah. How does she get out of this? Not like a physical escape, but like, give me her exit strategy. Yes. How does she play this so that she either doesn't go to prison or gets less jail time or she gets out early? And he gave me the whole plan. He's like, this is what I would recommend her to do, and this is how she can get time taken off, blah, blah, blah. And then by the end of it, she ended up hiring him. I'm like, bitch is watching.
She watches. Show. Hey, Jen Shah.
Hi, Jen Shah. Inmate Shah. Yeah, inmate Shah. Jenny from the cell block. She hired him, and then the strategies that he was telling me about on my show was part of what she's been using to help her get her time knocked off. You know, she did the sobriety program, even though we've never really known her to have an issue with alcohol, but she did a sobriety program, which I think gets like a year knocked off. Like all the tips and tricks that he was telling me on the show, she ended up implementing. And she's going to be out next year, 2026.
Damn. Well, good for her. I don't want to see her back on Real Housewives, though.
No.
No.
This is a good. Did you like the season of Salt Lake?
Of all the Housewives shows, with everything being oversaturated, Salt Lake City was a nice break from all of that.
I heard that this was the most scripted season.
Oh, I believe
of
that.
Salt Lake. That so much of what was done, the producers had such a hand. I think to me, the most scripted moment was the final scene when Heather's like, well, let's all pick a text message and revealed. And then everybody had their text message ready. And if you notice, it wasn't a scroll through the phone, it was a screenshot.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
But they've always given a little scripted and performative.
Yeah.
But in a comical way. Whatever they're doing over there, producing wise, they're doing a good job because although it feels scripted, it's still entertaining.
Yeah.
And one thing I don't feel that was scripted was what we got from Mary Cosby this season.
Yeah.
That was probably the realest that we had this season, but they had a good season. The reunion was a little
boring.
Yeah,
I agree. The Mary scene, I said that scene with her son was right up there with the scene we have on Orange County where Vicky finds out her mom died on the phone, and we see her collapse on the floor and she's sobbing.
Yeah.
And I said, because some people, and I know Ali Shapiro, who's Jill Zarin's daughter, she came out and she was just like, that's not right, and she shouldn't be exploiting her son like that. But I get it from that perspective, but at the same time, I'm also like, but at least from a reality TV consumer, addiction and struggles with your kids and like all of those things are so relatable, and seeing it in such a raw, because you could tell that he was very clearly under the influence in that scene. But so being able to watch that and connect with that, like I think was just such a strong Housewives moment, and like I think Mary was MVP of the season.
Oh, without a doubt. And I saw one of these Bravo accounts that runs like the analytics. She had like one of the least screen times this season, but she was the most impactful.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. She showed up to work.
I agree. And I think she showed up because she finally trusted production. Whereas I think, because remember when she didn't show up to the reunion because they were going into her church?
Yeah.
I think when you have those types of seasons where there's a takedown and there's a let's investigate and let's pick it apart. Because I think we had like the Jen Shaw thing and we had the Erica stuff, and so I think Housewives then were like, or we even had like the Denise Scissorgate, with her and Brandy. That like I think when you have those types of seasons, the housewife shuts down and puts her wall up. Whereas with Mary, she finally just like let us in completely and let her guard down.
And that's what I also love about Salt Lake City, especially this season. They were sort of giving us the side of the housewives. The way they started the season, talking about how they film, and then talking about, then we have to listen to everyone react to what we've given. It's superb editing for Salt Lake City. It's so hard to believe that this is the same production company that produced Roni.
Yeah, which is awful. So bad. And then the finale with Brynn. What do you think they do with New York moving forward? This is your town. They're representing you. Brynn is representing you, Kempire.
And oh God. And it's funny because Real Housewives of New York has always been in my like top 3 favorites of the entire, franchise. But they need to take a moment.
Yeah.
I don't think we need it immediately back. I know they took a while to get this cast together. I don't want to see Brynn back. And to be honest with you, I don't want to see Uba back. I don't think.
Why?
I didn't find her to be fun. Even last season's group trip, she was the buzzkill. This trip, she was the buzzkill. Brynn is dangerous.
That was wild to me. It was also wild to me from a production standpoint because they really pimped out that finale as like, this is like, you're going to see like and I think it's really because they had nothing this season.
Nothing.
Like Rebecca Minkoff didn't give us anything. The prank was a total flop that I think like they couldn't hit it from the comedy perspective, right? Where it like Kardashians do pranks and people love the Kardashian pranks when it was Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And then you have like the levity that I think the original Roni cast had that Salt Lake City can bring, but I think with Roni we don't have that. Like it's just
they focused too much on. They wanted to sort of have like the Sex and the City girls, but none of them are really friends. There's really no connection. The original Roni, they had actual connections. They weren't deep friends, but there were connections.
Well, I feel like they did eventually become friends, right? Because even like Ramona. But if you think about it, like even Ramona, with all of the audience kind of coming for her and disliking her for all of her behavior, the cast still stuck by her. Even when she had her scandals, like they were all like, well, they still stuck by Ramona because they were genuinely friends with Ramona. Like Dorinda, Luann, Ramona. Sonia was always kind of in and out, but I just think she's that type of socialite that doesn't really like to build those deep relationships. But what I noticed with these Roni ladies is the second Brynn was in her scandal, they all immediately publicly distanced themselves from her. If they gave an interview, they're like, I don't talk to her. I don't want anything to do with her. And they really iced her out. That to me, like that's just not indicative of a genuine friendship because
Yeah.
you would
You wouldn't
even
do that.
despite the scandal, you would try to have that face on
Yeah.
and work through that together. Where like Erica, like a lot, if the cast would have fully ostracized her through the Tom stuff, I mean, ultimately she was exonerated in the end. But like if they would have ostracized her early on, she wouldn't have been able to come back on the show. But it was her relationships with Dorit and Kyle and Rinna that ultimately kept her coming forward. Because, and I think that's what we like when there's a genuine relationship there.
Yeah.
Because friendships do have ebbs and flows, and your friends do fuck up sometimes. And Bryn is an interesting character in general.
That's a nice way of saying it.
But I think just the fact that they immediately threw her under the bus so quickly after the scandal tells me that the friendships were never really there.
Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But also, I think they distanced themselves from her because of the seriousness of the allegations. I think they all believed that she was essayed, of course.
Yeah.
But they couldn't believe that she would weaponize that against one of their friends.
Yeah. Do you think she genuinely she intentionally did this, or do you think she's just that reckless?
No, I think she intentionally did that, which I think is, again, makes her so dangerous. I'm like, why would you do that to a friend?
I think I lean more on the reckless side of it because I think she's just naturally so reckless, and she didn't realize. Like, I think she thought that she was going to be able to throw Uba under the bus in this way intentionally, but I don't think she realized the magnitude of it or how big it was going to blow up. And I mean, that's, again, like you said, just a dangerous person.
Yeah. And the thing is, I didn't realize it. Literally, I was in the middle of a recap, and I remembered something in regards to covering the story. And I said, oh, wait a minute. Because I'd heard T last season in regards to the original housewife that was supposed to be a part of this new reboot. And then she exited very early on. And Bryn was behind the rumors about her and her husband.
Yeah.
So Page Six recently did an interview with her, and she says that she feels vindicated because Bryn is now shown to be a liar.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire season.
Lizzie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just, especially when you're throwing out like accusations of these, like it's not like you like Kyle and Camille, right? When you're such a fucking liar, Camille. And she was just like, the allegation was Kyle said that the cameras wouldn't film without Kelsey. And that's what Camille was so fired up about. So it was superficial, it's surface, it's not deep.
Yeah.
Bryn was doing it in a way that was so dark.
Yeah, damaging.
And the fact that I feel like production really leaned into that to get us hooked, because everybody wanted to watch the finale to see what it was about. And then that's what it was about. And everybody was just like, oh, that's not it.
No, it's dark. People don't watch these shows, reality television in general, for things that dark. It's supposed to be their escape.
I mean, yes and no. Because like, even if you look at the early years of Beverly Hills, like Russell and Taylor and like Kim Richards' boyfriend, basically, I mean, he seemed like he was her dealer, her gargoyle-looking boyfriend.
May he rest in peace. Isn't he dead?
No.
Oh, he's not? Sorry.
No, you're talking about Monty.
Oh,
Monty's
yes.
her ex.
Yes.
Oh,
never mind.
Her ex-husband, but he was, she was like, this is my boyfriend. Everyone's like, I don't, who's this random dude with this criminal record?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think we do with Roni? Do you think they should bring it back or scrap it altogether?
I think we should normalize ending things when they're good.
Yeah.
But I understand the suits don't believe that. It was good back in the day before the
original
reboot.
Roni.
Yeah, before the
New
reboot.
Roni, I mean.
Yeah, I think they should take a pause, but they make so much money from it, even when it's bad.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason why they continue with it. I don't think they need to.
I don't like this reboot concept.
Yeah.
I think this is why I think the Vanderpump Rules reboot is going to be a total flop.
Yeah, because
Dubai was a flop. I just don't think we're invested in an old concept with all new players, right? I don't think we're that, like, if they launch a new Housewives, I don't think I'm going to be that interested in it.
And apparently they're working on 2 different cities.
I heard. What cities have you heard?
What was it? Rhode Island?
Yeah, I heard that one.
And there was another one. I don't remember the other one, but I definitely have heard Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt that way about Salt Lake City when it originally happened, and then I said, oh, this is actually not that bad. So,
yeah.
We shall see. But it is becoming harder and harder to make real reality television because we've been watching it for 20 years.
Well, I think that's why they allowed Salt Lake City to be so produced. And it ended up being a good season. But
luckily.
Yeah. And I just think the producers know what people want. And I think the ladies are willing to go to bat.
Make that money.
Yeah. And listen, the Salt Lake ladies did a fine job. Are you liking Beverly Hills this season?
I think Beverly Hills, I'm enjoying it because I'm not hate watching it like Roni.
Yeah.
I think we're still getting moments.
Yeah.
I honestly did not expect that whole Sutton and Reba storyline. And I was sort
Yeah.
of like, oh.
I wasn't expecting, nor was I expecting to be into it. Like when we went to Georgia, I was like, I don't give a fuck. I was like, I genuinely, like, why are we here? Like, I don't care. And then we got into the episode where you really kind of see it play out, their relationship, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
Sutton's
and then learning more about
something.
I'm learning more about her father and his last few days. I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I'm enjoying the season, but I'm also not believing everything that we're seeing. But that, again, a lot of it's pre-production and this is Dorit's year.
It is her year, and I think this is not Sutton's year. I mean, I think Reba saved her last week because it made her, more empathetic, or it made us more empathetic to her. But I think Garcelle and Sutton have always kind of gone after who they think the audience is going to want to see taken down. And so I think, I know you disagree, but that's my take on Sutton and Garcelle.
No,
Sutton and Garcelle are like...
I like hearing different takes.
So, and I think that they thought, at least Sutton, really thought that Dorit was going to be the villain that everybody hated, and she didn't expect people to like her. And so she came after Dorit with the intention of thinking that she was going to appease the audience that way. And the audience has fallen for Dorit, and this is Dorit's year. You don't like Dorit? You think she's fake?
I think Dorit is fake.
Yeah.
I think Dorit is fake. I think this storyline is fake. I do believe that there's trouble in paradise with her relationship.
Yeah.
But I think production and Dorit have come together to say that this is going to be her year. She's going to have a fantastic, villain arc as well. No, I'm not believing it. I don't believe any of it. I didn't believe the whole pictures of her and PK at the front. The fact that Kyle came in and just like, and mind you, Kyle's her friend. Kyle has been there and noticed this, like, this is weird. Why are we coming to an anniversary party?
Yeah.
So for me, that stood out as, I keep seeing every single week little holes in her storyline.
Well, when we see Kyle and PK and their kind of budding friendship, I think they've bonded over the fact that, because PK and Kyle have each individually in their promotional interviews or, said that Dorit is not, like, she's changed a lot since she started the show. And I think they just see that she will do anything for the sake of having a storyline. And I love Dorit, and I don't want to believe that, but I can see it. Like, I'm like, I just love her.
At least you admit that.
She's delusional, and I think that's what I love. I love a good delusional housewife, and Dorit is that.
What do you think of Dorit and Bozoma St. John's friendship?
I like it. I like them. I like that Bose has a really strong relationship with someone. I don't know if Dorit's the one that I like it with. Well, I guess I do like it with Dorit just because for the sake of the show, Dorit, one, needed somebody to really be on her side.
Yeah.
And I think Bose is just such a great new addition. And the audience really seems to like her in comparison to Anna Marie and Diana Jenkins.
Oh, yeah. That one.
I really did like Diana Jenkins, though. She was just like... That lady gave zero fucks. When she's calling Sutton a cunt on camera and she's just like, well, you are one. Like, she just had nothing to lose. And I like that kind of housewife.
I think there were a lot of things in regards to Diana that made me go like, we're good.
Yeah.
But 8.5, we're good on her too.
Yeah.
But you're right. I didn't even think about this. If Bozoma did not hitch her wagon to Dorit really would have been out there by herself.
Yeah.
She would have had no one to support her besides Erica. But Erica seems to be sort of like, she's here with Kyle, but then she's here with Dorit. So Dorit really would have been out there on her own. And maybe because of Bozoma's history of being a boss and an executive, she was sort of like navigating the water. She's like, I know what I'm going to do here.
I was concerned, and I am not fully... My issue with Bose, and I love her, and I think she's the best new addition we've had. My only concern, and this is, I guess, just me bracing myself because we see housewives be loved and then get turned on so quickly.
Yeah.
My only concern is she comes from the corporate world.
Yeah.
And in corporate, you're very mindful of your image and your reputation. I think those are the housewives that ultimately end up going down the worst, is when they're too hyper aware of their image.
And she comes from a marketing background.
Yes, comes from a marketing background, comes from the corporate world, had very high level executive positions that, like, that's something she has to protect. And I think when you have housewives that have something to protect, they usually conceal parts of their lives that they don't want to show you because they have something to protect.
And this is why she's more than willing to listen to Dorit.
Yeah,
and
and
not
let
share
Dorit
anything.
take the centerfolds. Yeah. So that's my only concern with Bose. But for the most part, I'm enjoying her. And I mean, yeah, Anna Marie just didn't slap.
No. And look, in all fairness, we were watching an edited show.
Yeah.
I know Anna Marie said that there was a lot that
Yeah.
they didn't show in regards to her storyline. They choose what they want to focus on. But she's suing, what is the ADA? No, we're good.
Yeah. On
Or
a
the APA.
personal level, I liked her personally, and I've chatted with her offline, and like I like her personally, but I just don't think she worked on the show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it didn't land. I was actually kind of glad to see Crystal go too. I think she was a little too hyper aware of her image. Because everything that I had heard about Crystal, everyone was like, she's so different off camera. And she's actually likable and enjoyable and fun off camera in a way that she's just too buttoned up on camera. And also, you're married to Rob Minkoff. You got money, and you're going to put together that low budget taco night that she did. Like, come on.
But that's really her. Have you listened to her new podcast?
I had no interest.
It's actually enjoyable.
I've heard that.
It's actually an easy listen. There aren't a lot of podcasts that I listen to. I have to say I enjoy her podcast.
I've heard that people
I
really
enjoy her
yeah.
on the podcast. And Cynthia, too.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that dynamic would work, but it works. It's an easy listen. And you get to see that personality that I think a lot of people say that you didn't get to see on Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And and I do believe that taco night kind of party is an actual party she would throw.
I'm sure it is. Like
It just doesn't work for Beverly Hills.
No, not for I mean, come on, you have to Dorit it up a little bit, you know?
Dorit's barbecue party was kind of...
That was a little low budget. Well, I heard that was a last minute, like, thrown together thing. But even then, you can find a way to make it work. And that was still pretty low budget.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, PK was withholding the funds.
What funds? The government's withholding his funds.
He's cutting her off. And when he divorces her, which still hasn't happened.
I
The
know.
deadline's coming up. The 10-year deadline we're like less than 2 weeks away.
Again,
Or I think about
more
2
and more
weeks.
holes in her story for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that, which is fine. I wish I could be one of those fans that watch the show and just be like, I believe it. But I don't.
Believe the children on. What do you think we do with Jersey?
Literally, I was just reading the OK Magazine article about
Garbage.
New Jersey.
Why are we giving Kim D a platform?
I don't understand why we believe anything at this particular point. We've had like 3 different stories come out about New Jersey casting. I'm not going to believe anything in regards to casting until Andy says it, until they make an announcement.
I don't even think they know yet. I think they're really trying to keep everything on ice. And we probably won't have a final decision until this summer.
Probably. And when they decide to start filming, when we actually see them filming.
I think they'll start filming again in the fall, but they can't reboot it entirely. Like, okay, I think what they're waiting for, and this is probably smart, is to see what happens with Atlanta. Because with Atlanta, we brought back Portia, we brought back Phaedra, we have the Kenya scandal that we're going to see play out this season. That I think that will also Orange County did really well with bringing back Tamara and Heather and Alexis, and now we have Gretchen coming back. That I think bringing back the veterans with the newbies, it's a good mix as long as you can like make the chemistry work. And so I think we saw it with Orange County. We're gonna see it with Atlanta. If those two work, then I think that's the model Bravo has to move with. Miami
was incredibly successful with mixing that.
Yeah, so I think that. And we've seen with New York that wasn't the right direction to go. And even though Andy has too big of an ego and will never admit that New York is a fail and we should just scrap it or find a way to do something new with it. But like you said, you need to know when it's time to just put a nice little bow on it, wrap it up. Like Vanderpump Rules this past season should have been marketed as the final season.
Yeah.
And they should have just said, this is the final season of Vanderpump Rules. Ratings would have been through the roof. Everyone would have watched for that finale because that was a good finale. But I think we would have appreciated it so much more had we actually known it was the end.
But they want to make money.
I know.
They made so much money from Scandival.
I know.
There's just no way they wanted to end that. So they would much rather regurgitate what they've already done.
And Ariana ruined the last of that.
Poor Ariana.
I mean, listen, and I feel so vindicated now because all the people that were like Ariana, like they were all about Ariana, and not that I dislike her, right? I very much like her, but I mean, she always making her the star of the show, I think hurt the show because she was never like Stassi would have thrown herself on the coals to save the show. Sandoval would have burned himself at the stake to stay on the show. That's like why it was such a misfire for them to fire the original Roni, because those ladies, if the producers came in and they had a meeting, they're like, going into this season, we need to have a housewife funeral. We need our first housewife to go. Ramona and Sonia would fight over who had to go, and they would commit to the funeral. Like, they would go all in to make sure that they delivered for that show.
Yeah.
Dorinda would have absolutely been slurring her way into the coffin. Like, they're so, like, they loved that show. Whereas, like, Ariana just didn't care if the show crashed and burned or not. Like, she truly did not care. So, and that's ultimately why we saw the show get scrapped altogether.
And again, like you said, I would rather them just end it.
Yeah.
Instead
and
of
let that be. I agree.
Instead of regurgitating it. Mind you, what they've done with the Valley, I feel like perfect.
But again, newbies, veterans, put them together, new concept, freshen it up, solid.
Have they started filming already for the new season of Pump Rules, Vanderpump Rules?
I don't know.
I thought maybe you were on the ground there. I'm like, give me some tea.
I don't know. I honestly haven't paid much attention to see. I don't think that they have, and I think because I haven't heard anything, I don't think that they are.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything either, and I was wondering. But I know that I hear people are excited about the Valley. I actually enjoyed it. I didn't expect to enjoy it.
Same. But I'm looking forward to this new season.
Yeah.
And I hear it's going to be good. My only issue is they need to put them out sooner. Because everything, like, we're now going to watch Brittany and Jackson's marriage fall apart. And we've already known that they've been separated for months at this point.
Yeah, and sleeping with other people.
Yeah, so I'm not as invested in watching their marriage fall apart as much as seeing where they're at now. You know, there's just too much time in between filming and releasing that it's just not. It's not like an ultimate girls trip where you can set time apart because it's always going to be evergreen.
Yeah. Are you watching The Traitors?
Yes. Oh my God, Traitors. Well, no, it's not a good season.
Oh yeah, because they got rid of the
I love
entertainment.
The Traitors, but yeah, they got rid of all the good people. Like, now everybody loves Tom Sandoval, which I don't have a problem with.
Who
he's
said
entertaining.
That?
Like, the internet is like, he's so like.
Are we on different internets?
I think we must be.
I'm on Beyonce's internet.
I know you are. And I said that she didn't deserve country album of the year.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Let's go. I don't think that she deserved country album or album of the year.
Who do you think should have gotten it?
Album of the year, I think, should have gone to. I mean, if we're going solely based on the music, I think it should have gone to Billie Eilish. If we're going on cultural impact, it should have gone to Charlie XCX or Sabrina Carpenter. I think we had Brat Summer. Like, Brat Summer was a whole thing that if we're gonna, Brat Summer made it into Kamala's campaign. Everyone's like, Kamala so brat. You know, it truly. Brat had its moment last year. Sabrina Carpenter, I would say, is the biggest breakout from last year. And then Billie Eilish, like, her voice and her out, like, I just think
she didn't win any.
I know, which I was shocked about. Who did she piss off? Who, you know?
We know the industry is very much like that in regards to the politics behind the scenes.
Which is how Beyonce won her award.
The politics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I find it interesting because she's had so many album of the year worthy moments.
That's when she deserved it. Like, there were so many. My argument with Beyonce is she's had so many good albums and so much good music and albums that have really, like, made cultural impact.
No.
Cowboy Carter, I just don't think was her strong. Like, Lady Gaga's latest music. I mean, she has her new album that's dropping, but prior, like, Lady Gaga hasn't had good albums in a minute.
Yeah.
Katy Perry didn't have good albums in a minute. Like, when they were at their height, it's just not, Beyonce's not at her height yet. You know?
I will say this in regards to the cultural impact conversation. It did, especially for Black people within country music.
I get that.
It made an impact where Black country artists were actually taking notice, winning awards, performing on a major stage. Biggest song of the year, that Tipsy song by, oh, damn. I forgot his name, but Shabuzi, there we go.
Yeah.
So glad I remember. When you talk about cultural impact, you can't deny the impact of what she did with that. Was the music as great as what we've seen? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Because she's already said that it wasn't a country album. She said it was a Beyonce album. I think it was a solid album. Do I think that she deserved album of the year this year? I don't know. I'm not, because it's hard for me to say she deserves it over anyone else if I haven't listened to every single album.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it had a cultural impact. I definitely think Beyonce has deserved it multiple years.
Yes.
Renaissance, Lemonade. The self-titled album changed the entire music landscape on how you put out music.
Yeah.
So maybe this was just like, we owe you.
That's what it felt like. And that's why, to me, it didn't feel like Beyonce deserved this so many other times. I don't think that this was, it was more of like, we owed you, and this is like, we're now going to give you the participation trophy, which I feel like she deserved better than that. Because I was like, her best album off of that song was Cowboy Carter, which to me was it was a gimmicky country song. Like it was too like country poppy, like it just she's had such better music than what we got from this last album.
My other issue last year when Jay-Z made the comment on the Grammy stage about her deserving one, I was like, you guys have achieved so much, set all kinds of boundaries. I would think at that particular level, none of these awards shouldn't matter.
I agree.
But apparently it does.
I agree. And listen, they listened to him and they gave her her award. They gave her her trophy at the end of the day. Yeah. Well.
Are you going to see the tour?
No. I don't go into for any. I didn't do Taylor. I didn't do Katie. Ed Gaga. Like I'm trying to think of the last. I don't know who I would go for. Oh. Yeah.
You're going to see Erica Jane
on Broadway.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, I went to her, but again, it's like I have a relationship with her that I go to support her.
Your friend.
Yes.
You support your friend.
Like I've already seen Chicago, but I'm going to go and support her.
She's very good in it. I have heard that. So
second round after Ariana.
I mean, she's not better than my girl Brandy when Brandy did it though.
Did you see when Candy did it? That was actually when
I never saw. I never. Oh, you
Candy,
saw. That was Candy.
The last and only. Candy was good.
Okay.
Well, at the time, I wasn't as like into Housewives
yeah.
as much. I had like a regular like 9 to 5 and I had like a salary and then, you know, now this is what I do full time that I wasn't
what a blessing.
as invested. I know. And listen, I'm grateful for it. I mean, we're at Spotify right now.
Amen.
Like they put I had to do a Spotify Q&A earlier. Like there's, you know, put some respect on my name.
Yes, you're working hard. And you know I appreciate anyone that works hard.
Yeah, and that's why, yeah, I agree with you. And I, you know, like when we're now starting to be taken more seriously. Mm-hmm. You know,
not just bloggers,
influencers. I fucking hate when they call us influencers. I'm like, what? I influence the culture.
But you know, it's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
It's funny when I was in LA and I spoke with Heather McDonald, who's at a certain level of what we're doing, and she still feels a way about being labeled a certain thing. I was like, who cares what they call you? Yeah. Make sure that check clears. That's all that matters.
And that's where I'm at. I remember they did an article on me in the Daily Mail, and they opened it up with influencer Zack Peter. And then I text my manager. I was like, LOL, influencer Zack Peter. And he was just like, do you want me to email them and have them change it? I'm like, the fact that they're even fucking writing about me and my name's in bold and any website, like to me, like
what would you want them to call you?
Podcaster.
Okay.
Content creator, I feel is like a term we all use for each other, but podcaster is fine.
Some people don't like that
I'm number
term.
6 on Spotify. I'm okay with it.
Okay, number 6. Some people don't like that.
Yeah.
So everyone's different. You know, some people call me a YouTuber. Some people call me a TikToker. So I was like, as long as that check clears, I don't care what you call me.
I'm like, the fact that they're even talking. I mean, you and I have been doing this so long that I think there's a deeper appreciation that we have for it versus people that go on TikTok and they become popular like this. You know?
Yeah.
So.
And they don't understand the hard work that it takes because and a lot of times you'll go viral and then
it's
what?
Fleeting. And I think they think I've done this for 2 years. I'm at the top. I'm at height, whatever. You have, as you I'm sure have seen, there are ebbs and flows and ups and downs. And when it's high, you ride the high. And when it's low, you know, okay, I'm gonna save my pennies. And then you save for a rainy day. And you know that like the lows are always gonna be temporary. Yeah. And you're gonna make it out on the other side. But it's just about staying consistent and continuing to ride the waves. And when you go viral, you clap, you pat yourself on the back, you enjoy your viral moments. Like even right now at Blake and Baldoni, I'm like, I was there with Scandival, and like that was really popular. And like if I go dead for the next 6 months, I will ride the wave and jump on the next train.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a lesson. I think a lot of people don't understand this business. And again, people get addicted to going viral and they don't realize you're not going to always go viral.
Then they get cheap with trying to only go for the viral moments, and then they lose the audience because the authenticity is not there.
Yeah.
Anyway. Kempire's your YouTube channel. I'm sure everyone that's watching this already follows you, but if they're not, they should. Anything else you want to pimp out?
No, they can just follow me. And look, I don't know when this is coming
And
out.
you're going to London soon, right?
No, I did London.
How was London?
I did London in December. Fantastic. I had a great time. But we're still doing more cities this year. I was going to take a little bit of a break, but we're doing more cities this year for the Kempire After Dark live experience. We're very much like what we're doing here. We're talking about talking a little bit more explicitly.
Okay, I like it. When I was there in LA, I came to your LA show, and that was fun.
Yeah. We had some Diddy stories there that came out.
Know.
I was like, what? I didn't know that was going to happen.
That was fun. All right, well, I'm going to have to talk to you about London because I'm thinking of doing London this year, too. All right, thank you, Kempire.
Thank you.
Everyone can follow you at Kempire all over?
Everywhere.
All right, check out Kempire and get it.